A curfew-like situation has been imposed in Balochistan, Pakistan, following a violent military crackdown on protests against the alleged Baloch genocide. The unrest has resulted in the death of one person and injuries to several others. Rights activist Marang Baloch from Gwadar managed to send a message, stating that security forces are shelling and firing on locals, preventing anyone from entering or leaving the city. The turmoil began after the Baloch Yakjeti Committee, BYC, led by Marang Baloch, announced at Karachi Press Club on June 13, 2024, that they would hold a Baloch national gathering in Gwadar. The Balochistan government denied permission for the gathering, citing security issues. The situation escalated on July 27, with security forces detaining over 200 Balochs and opening fire on protesters in Mastung, injuring 14. Marang Baloch has appealed to international human rights organizations to condemn the violence and support the Balochs in their struggle. Balochistan, Pakistan's largest and poorest province, has been a hotbed of unrest and conflict for decades. The roots of this turmoil lie in a long history of discrimination, repression, and exploitation by the Pakistani state. The situation in Balochistan is a complex and multifaceted issue involving political, economic, and social dimensions, with law enforcement and security agencies playing a significant role in perpetuating the region's instability. Since Balochistan was forcibly integrated into Pakistan in 1948, it has witnessed continuous strife. The province has remained under a tight grip of Islamabad through brute force and heavy censorship. The Baloch people's quest for autonomy and rights has been met with severe repression, fueling a cycle of resistance and state violence. The so-called law enforcement in Balochistan, including the Pakistani military and intelligence agencies, has been implicated in numerous human rights abuses. These include extortion, kidnapping, smuggling, narcotics, and human trafficking. These illegal activities, often conducted with impunity, have made these agencies the greatest obstacles to peace in the province. The Pakistani state's preference for dialogue with subservient representatives rather than genuine Baloch leaders further exacerbates the situation. The Baloch movement gained significant momentum in 2006 with the assassination of Nawab Akbar Bugti, a prominent Baloch leader. This event galvanized the Baloch people and intensified their struggle against Pakistani rule. Despite numerous crackdowns and attempts to suppress the movement, it has continued to evolve and gain support. Over the past few years, the Baloch freedom struggle has intensified, partly inspired by the Afghan Taliban's success against foreign and Pakistani forces. Despite a media blackout imposed by the military, which paints a picture of a waning movement, the reality on the ground tells a different story. The Baloch movement is gaining dangerous dimensions, with increased militant activities targeting Pakistani state apparatus. The Baloch resistance operates on two fronts: militant actions and peaceful protests. The militant track has seen a rise in both the frequency and intensity of attacks against Pakistani military and security personnel. On the other hand, the peaceful protest track, exemplified by movements like the Haq du Tariq in Gwadar, has mobilized large sections of the population to demand basic rights and autonomy. A remarkable and significant development in the Baloch struggle is the active participation of women. Women activists have taken leadership roles in both political protests and militancy. The case of Dr. Marang Baloch, who led a long march to Islamabad to demand justice for enforced disappearances, highlights the emergence of female leadership in a traditionally conservative society. Additionally, the phenomenon of educated Baloch women becoming suicide bombers reflects a deep sense of desperation and hopelessness. The Pakistani state's response to Baloch dissent has been marked by systematic repression, including enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. Thousands of Baloch activists have been kidnapped, tortured, and killed by security forces. The discovery of mutilated bodies and mass graves has only fueled the anger and determination of the Baloch people to resist Pakistani control. The current chief minister of Balochistan, Sarfraz Bugti, is seen by many as a puppet of the military establishment, notorious for his involvement with state-sanctioned death squads. Despite his assurances of starting a reconciliation process, there is widespread distrust among the Baloch population. The inability of the Baloch to unite under a common leadership has allowed Pakistan to exploit internal divisions and maintain its colonial approach. The mainstream media in Pakistan, heavily censored by the military, rarely reports on the situation in Balochistan. This lack of coverage creates an information vacuum, leaving the general public unaware of the ongoing crisis. Social media has become a crucial platform for disseminating information, but even this is subject to increasing censorship efforts by the state. The international community needs to pay greater attention to the situation in Balochistan. Increased scrutiny and pressure on the Pakistani state could help mitigate human rights abuses and support the Baloch people's quest for justice. Balochistan's unrest is a multifaceted issue rooted in historical grievances and exacerbated by contemporary state policies. Addressing this unrest requires a fundamental shift in the Pakistani state's approach, prioritizing genuine engagement and development over repression and exploitation. Until such changes occur, Balochistan is likely to remain a hotspot of conflict and human suffering.